This is Jonathan Ying, designer of Heroes of the Grid, and you're watching Cretoni Entertainment.
Welcome to Cretoni Entertainment. I'm Chris.
I'm Bree.
And I got a hankering for some purple.
Purple?
I don't know what I was actually going to say there. It's a very imperial color. So playing the Purple Solar Ranger, as I've been calling her consistently, the Solar Purple Ranger. I have no idea who this Ranger is. I missed the comic arc where they really kind of came into play. It was kind of when we were first starting to pick up the comics. I know they showed up and kind of helped out the Omegas and the Mighty Morphins deal with Dane and whatnot during the Necessary Evil storyline when Kaya went insane.
Yep, read that part.
Yada, yada, yada. But what I do know is this is an awesome Ranger suit that nobody can agree on what it looks like.
Yeah, the artwork is all over the place on
The
this.
artwork is all over the place. So I ended up just picking one of my favorite versions of this, because I've seen versions of this where her whole costume is purple. I've seen versions of this where it's half black, half purpley starfield. I've seen versions, and this is all official-ish art, where it's half black and half purpley starfield, but a heavy emphasis on black on the purple starfield instead of purple. Just a lot of different variations of this Ranger. So there are probably a few liberties being taken, also kind of taking the one that I like the best, and it all is going to start with this black Templar, and I'm painting it in all the areas I plan to do that super cool purple starfield. I'm not bothering with the black on the rest of it because I'm about to ruin it all coming up pretty much right now. So the next step here is to go ahead and get that purple starfield started. So we started to do this with multiple shades of purple and a couple of cool techniques. I've tinkered with one of these techniques before in the past. I don't remember. Do you remember what video it was?
The wizard?
No. Well, there's some of that going on here. No, it was. Yeah, I really don't remember. We used torn up pieces of sponge. There
was a wizard. Oh, you did it for Terratoad.
Was it Terratoad?
Yeah, because you did the little blip, blip,
No,
blip.
I don't think it was Terratoad. Terratoad used the 50% craft plates. Anyway, we have 3 different shades of purple. All increasingly bright. You can use any shades of purple you want that you find appropriate. And I use this handy 3M kitchen sponge we happen to have under the sink.
He stole one of my sponges, y'all.
Because we buy our kitchen sponges in bulk. And I couldn't find any more of my foam brushes that I know we've talked about previously. So I just got this kitchen sponge and I just literally tore pieces off. And with my darkest purple, and again, any purple you want to do works just fine. I dipped the sponge in the purple paint. I wiped a good chunk of it off on a paper towel. And I just start dabbing all of the areas that I want to have the purple on. It's not going to give me a completely full color.
And that's what you want.
Well, yeah, because I'm creating like a starfield-y type effect. So it's going to give... I'm doing it heavy. I'm leaving a lot of paint on this after I wipe some off. But it's still a dabbing of a drier material, so a lot of the black is still going to show up underneath it as I do that. And then we're going to take another piece of that same sponge. We're going to take one of the lighter purples, and we're going to do the same thing, but with even less paint on there. So I kind of pulled you can kind of see what I'm doing to get the paint off of there. And I'm just kind of dabbing it with an even lighter shade of purple. And this, much like a clip door, is a tech video. How you do it is really more important than what colors you use. And you can go with different spongy material. You can do lighter. You can do darker. It doesn't really matter. You have lots of options.
All the options.
So the next we've got this flat bladed brush. What do they call it? I think they called it a garbage brush when we bought it.
Yeah.
It's literally just a flat bladed brush that we bought for $0.25 at a friendly local hobby store. And this, we're taking an even brighter shade of purple. This is that 3rd shade of purple we had. And we are flicking this paint on there. That's all we're doing.
That's it. That's all you did.
So we did some sponginess. Now we're doing some flicking. To get a real good flip, you dip your brush in a little bit of water, then you dip it in the paint. That makes it nice and wet, so it's nice and easy to flick. So we're just kind of plop, 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 and much like we did with the wizard for the Hero Quest video.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
in case you Ranger fans were over there watching that for some tech coolness.
I love this miniature.
I know, she came out real cool.
Well, the miniature itself, I think the whole solar purple costume thing. I like a lot of the Ranger suits that have the more black integrated into them. I mean, for me, the Mighty Morphin is always like the classic go-to suit, because that's the suit that we watched when we were kids.
Yes. But the Omegas. I do
love the Omega suits, and now we've got one last purple here that's even brighter than the rest, and now we're taking this fat crap brush that we have, and we're doing an even lighter flicking here. So I did this brush because I wanted to have a different application of paint than the previous brush. And when it wasn't doing well for me, I took it and I just started stippling. Now, this is the type of brush you get in like a kid's craft set that you're going to pick up at Walmart or something that has like the paint your own decoration sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
So the bristles are really hard and the thing is really, really round, and it doesn't have a tip to the brush.
Yeah.
It's just like that flat edge. But it's wonderful for stippling. And for stippling, you're just going to take your brush, you're going to dip it in your paint, and now we've moved on to white, actually. So you take your brush, you dip it in your paint, and you wipe almost all of it off, and the dog is chewing a soda bottle in the background. And then you're just going to tap the miniature with it. Just the end of it, just tap. You're no tech, no painting. And we get this just insanely cool purple starfield sort of pattern that you're going to see really, really well in the final photo with barely any work involved. And that's kind of what we've always done on the channel. We've always done this every man. Anybody can do this. This is not difficult.
Lazy. Just say it. It's lazy.
It's lazy.
Lazy paint.
We've done some of the flicking before. We've done some of the sponging before. We did stippling with Commander Crayfish.
Yeah.
Now we're just putting them all together on one model.
Was it Commander Crayfish?
It wasn't Commander Crayfish.
No.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point.
Well, now it bothers me.
But when that was done, what I went ahead and did is all of the areas that I wanted to paint black, I went ahead and painted over them with just white paint. Because the next layer is to go back to our black Templar and do this black Templar contrast paint. As I say constantly, it doesn't have to be white paint. You could do a very, very light gray. You could do a light cream color. You want something that doesn't have a huge amount of pigmentation in it, something that goes towards the white end of the spectrum, because you want the contrast paint to do its work. You want it to be able to layer over it and seep into it and not be as blurry. Not be as blurry as what I got going on here.
So professional.
But we did the important part. From here on out, this is all tech that you've seen before. There's nothing complicated from here. So everything that's going to be black, we went ahead and painted black. Now we're going to Abaddon Black and Ironbreaker. And the Abaddon Black, we're going to do the visor. And the Ironbreaker, we're going to do the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
There's not much to this mouthpiece. There's not like any lips sculpted onto it. It's not a prominent part of the mini. Actually, when you're playing the mini, and then this is a little known secret. One of the reasons the camera is angled the way it is when I do this video is partially because it's one of the easiest ways to set up the camera and paint. And the other reason is because where the camera is situated when we do these videos is basically the angle you're going to be looking at these models at most of the time. When you put them down on the table and you're standing above them or sitting above them, depending on what you're doing. If you're playing Heroes of the Grid, you're probably sitting. If you're playing the Age of the Grid variant that we're doing with the one-page rule stuff, you're probably standing. I don't know why Wargamers just do a lot of standing. But all the black that's going on her visor, which actually does kind of wrap around the helmet in some cool ways, is going to be Abaddon Black instead of the Black Templar, because they are going to both look slightly different at the end. And part of the everyman lazy paint style is finding a way to make things look different without putting too much effort into it. So with that done, we're going to move on to Retrobeater Armor. This is going to be our primary gold base, and we're just going to go over the entire miniature, everything that's going to be gold, and there is a lot of gold on this Ranger.
Yeah, she's got some bling to her.
She did. She's shiny. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if she's got more or less gold than the Omegas. It certainly covers kind of more territory of her costume because it goes head to toe. But the Omegas do have like the banding and whatnot that adds extra gold layers to it.
So do you get more gold as you become like a more prominent ranger? Is that how it works? Like if you're like the whiter you're...
Does that make Gold Ranger the most prominent Ranger?
Yeah, obviously. Durr.
Well, there's also Gold Samurai Ranger or Gold Ninja Steel Ranger. There's another Gold Ranger that actually wears gold fabric, and they're not as cool as Zeo Gold.
Is he shiny? He should be super shiny.
He's kind of shiny. Anyway, you're going to do that over the whole miniature. Then we're going to go to this Liberator Gold, and we're going to do...
The highlights on the old gold? The other gold? Yep. Oh, there you go.
A stylized highlight.
Oh.
So this...
Swanky. So it's like the light hits it.
It's like kind of like how the light's hitting it. So this is not dissimilar to what we did on the windshield of the car for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Which, by the way, I ruined that mini.
Well, don't tell
I'm
him.
going to tell him. If you followed that video, you can only find out here how I ruined it. Apparently, the blue primer that I used for that mini that I left showing through most of the car does not like matte varnish and bubbled up like you wouldn't believe when I hit it with the matte varnish. And I know it wasn't the can of varnish, and I know it had nothing to do with the temperature because I varnished another mini at the same time with the same spray can and had no issue. It was that blue primer 100%. So be careful with the blue primer you pick, apparently, because I screwed myself. Anyway, I'm just doing these streaks of gold highlighting. Rather than going up and down all the Retrobeater armor, I'm doing kind of like these diagonal lines. Like all the same direction, kind of representing where the light's going to be glinting off of it. And
or perhaps the solar sun.
The solar sun as opposed to the lunar sun.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's
not to be confused. You fell apart on that one.
Yep.
I've also got the canoptic alloy, which is kind of like a brass gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're doing the same thing in some other spots. We're doing that same sort of highlight. So we're going to have a multi-tiered gold highlight that doesn't involve, well, any effort. We're not relining anything. We're not following the original contours of the paint job. We are literally just doing fancy, swanky, sideways, diagonally lines of gold. It's a cheat highlight is what it is. We did it with the Omegas a little bit. We're taking it a step further here.
There you go.
Actually, 2 steps further. You could quit way back with the Retrobeater armor, but you're going to have that really, really deep yellow in the gold showing up a lot, whereas this is going to do a lot of breaking up of that. And it's just, the effect is just so cool. And I don't know why. Like I said, I know nothing about this Ranger as far as the story or the lore or whatever you want to call it goes. But I just think the suit's so cool that I wanted to do a really, really just
awesome job on it.
Well, I want to do an awesome job, but also a lazy job. Because it wouldn't be Cretoni Entertainment if we weren't lazy as all could be.
That's true. I mean, even down to our fine editing skills.
Oh, yes. So now,
Agrex.
It's time for some Agrex Earthshade. And we're going to be applying this to her Void Chakram. Partly because we painted that entirely gold, and there's no defining lines. Yeah, there's no definitions. And the Agrex Earthshade will cheat that for us a little bit because, again, we're lazy. Is this the way the Void Chakram is supposed to look? I don't care.
I mean, because...
we've been over this before, especially on power weapons, and sometimes with other parts of miniatures. I do certain things that are not, air quotes, canon.
Sorry. I'm getting licked by a dog.
Okay, I mean, at least it's the dog. I do certain things that are not canon or so because I want to have a little bit of personal touch in the mini. So now I'm going to pull out the Runefang Steel, which is a very, very bright, almost unpigmented silver. And I'm just going to do little bits of this on some of the edges of the gold. And it's kind of hard to describe what I mean by that. So if you just watch what I'm doing here, just kind of random areas, just very, very little, small amounts of it on the very, very edge. And silver is actually a fantastic highlight for gold if you apply it in this fashion. And it just creates this, I don't know, a glinting effect.
Silver and gold.
Is glinting a word?
Yes.
I know we haven't made a lot of acidine jokes and whatnot in this episode. I kind of took this miniature seriously because it's such a cool mini.
And yet you pull up the Agrex Earthshade again, and the Hex Lycan, and the Blue Violet, and the...
This is basically going back to a number of the purples that we had used previously. And now I'm applying them to the edges, the blades of the Void Chakram. I didn't bother doing them purple earlier, partly because I didn't know what I wanted to do the blades yet. But I decided they're going to go and be purple as well.
Just to kind of wrap it all in with her costume?
No, I mean, not necessarily her costume. Just do something unique. And like I was kind of saying, I want to do something unique with a lot of the power weapons, or sometimes even with other smaller details, like the Omega Rangers. I took a couple liberties with their belts. Just, like minor things that, somebody who's dead set on keeping it comic or show accurate would say, hey, that's not entirely accurate. But it adds that personal touch to my minis. It's something that I have that other people, well, unless you guys are following this, step by step exactly, it's something I have that other people don't. So I went back with the Agrex Earthshade, and I just added a little more of it to that large flat area of gold that she has on her hip, only because I wanted to blend the highlights in with the base gold a little bit better, and the Earthshade will cheat and do that a little bit. And then that blue gold, I'm just kind of doing the edge of the blade of the Void Chakra.
The blue gold?
Yes, the blue gold. It's actually blue violet is what they call it, but it's clearly a light purple. Vallejo has some weird names for some minis. They have.
Oh yeah, their names
Or
are.
is this one? There's a blue violet and a violet blue.
Yeah.
And like the one of them is like a super deep purple that you don't really see true blue, and it's that deep of a purple. And the other one is a super light purple that again you don't see a lot of the blue in, but they call them blue violet and violet blue, respectively. Then it's just kind of touch-ups. A lot of times you have just certain areas where maybe your gold or silver went a little too far, or you have an area where your black Templar contrast didn't stick as well as it could.
Oh, yeah, cleaning up your lines.
Hence why I seal these with a matte varnish, and we're just cleaning up our lines a little bit, and then we're going to bring it on home. Same thing we do pretty much every single time. We do our Abaddon black base. No intention at this point in time of going back and doing fancy basing on my Rangers. This is something that might happen one day. I don't know. Stuff happens in my life.
It just depends on what he gets bored and wants to do.
And yeah, there's so many minis to still paint. I mean, I've got a great miniature that I want to get painted. That's not part of our regular rotation to add to the Painted Freeblade series. I've got a great miniature there. I've got my Chris's Secret project I still want to do, and I have not had the time to touch it because I'm trying to get ahead enough on our core videos because we have a 3-day-a-week schedule right now with our core stuff.
Yep.
I'm trying to get ahead on our core videos enough that I can stop and spend like a week or more doing some side projects to add more content to the channel, and it's just not working.
Yep.
It's not working very well at all.
Yep.
But those will be coming out eventually. So really, honestly, truly basing my Ranger figures is about the furthest thing in the back of my mind that there could possibly be, because it doesn't matter compared to getting you actual figures out there rather than, say, hey, I glued some sand and some grass to some bases. So finally is the Hex Lycan. This is just going around the edges. Previously on Bulk, who's our other Purple Ranger, I used the Citadel Xerxes Purple. This is a very, very similar shade. I think I like the shade slightly better. And I think I've mentioned before I am transitioning some of my Citadel paints, a lot of my Citadel paints over to Vallejo. And I probably will start transitioning my contrast over to the Army Painter Quick Shades if they are as good as I'm seeing some people claiming they are. But this is it. This is our Solar Purple Ranger, all ready to rock and roll with her sweet starfield pattern. I'm really happy with this Ranger. I'm excited to give her a try in the game. I'm excited to get her going in our Age of the Grid. But that's basically it. So like and subscribe for more content. Hit the bell button for notification. I'm sorry this video wasn't as goofy as usual. We'll see you next time.
Bye!